Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting podcast episode of Chopping It Up with Apostle Ken. Yes, I am your host, Apostle Ken Fuller. And as you know, no topic is off limits. So do me a huge favor. Grab a friend, grab a neighbor, hey, grab anyone, and let's chop it up. All right. What's up, everybody? Hey, listen, welcome to another exciting podcast episode of Chopping Up with Apostle Ken Fuller. Hey, listen, I am your host on tonight, Apostle Ken. And as you all know, as we say all the time, no topic is off limits. No topic is off limits. And so I am very, very excited because this is our very, very first show. And I'm so excited to be on with all of you and those who are tuning in and watching. Listen, we have a very exciting show tonight. We have a very exciting show tonight. Not only do we have a very exciting show, but I have two guests who are joining me tonight for Chopping It with Apostle Ken. And so tonight, believe it or not, tonight we are talking about a very interesting topic. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. We are talking about a very, very interesting topic that came out just within like the last few weeks, right? So within the last few weeks, Bishop T.D. Jakes, great man of God, he had ministered a message, right? He had ministered a message, real men pour in. And this was a Father's Day message. And so there was a lot of controversy around that. There was a lot of controversy around that particular message, and so much controversy that you had folks telling the bishop to step down. I mean, they telling the bishop, right? The theologian to step down, you know. And so what I wanted to be able to do was this here. I wanted to be able to, bring on a couple of ladies that are in ministry. They're certainly seasoned in ministry. That could try and give a balanced perspective to this. And I really don't know if it's really about a right or wrong, but I think it's about creating a platform to whereas that men and women can work to understand one another. And so this is not a place for men to bash women or women to bash men. That's not what it's about. What this is about is creating a atmosphere and a platform where men and women can be able to communicate, to understand one another, and to be able to talk about, the things that concern us. Because remember, as always, y'all hear me say this all the time, we are better together. For those joining us live, listen, we want to make sure that you all like this and share this. Invite some folks to watch with you because it's about to get really interesting here. Okay, it's about to get very interesting. So listen, without further ado, I want to introduce my guest for tonight. Listen, let me meet a ministry. If you could bring on Pastor Joyce and you can bring on Prophet McGahee. Come on here. Hey, Pastor Joyce, how are you?
I'm good. How about you, Apostle Ken?
Good. Thank you so much. We got Pastor Joyce tonight joining us with a Better Days Community Outreach. And then we also got Prophet McGahee with Social Center, you all. Hey, listen, this is going to be a great time tonight, y'all. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? Yeah. Amen. So listen, ladies, and I have sent you all I've actually sent you all the insert. I know that you guys watched the message. I saw the message, and we're talking about Bishop T.D. Jakes tonight. Again, we're not here to bash. That's not what we do here. This is all about love. But we're talking about Bishop T.D. Jakes tonight, and we are talking about the message that he ministered on Father's Day, which I thought was a very great message. I thought it was an enlightening message. But we also saw that there was a lot of controversy around the message. And so that's what we're here to talk about. And so I want to, first of all, let me actually start here. I want to start with just some of the feedback, if I can read this to you. I want to read some of the feedback and comments that I've gotten from different platforms, out there, such as Instagram and as well as Facebook, as well as YouTube as well. And I'm not going to read the person who wrote the comment, but these are some of the comments that came about, right? Here's the first comment. And then for those who are watching, again, you all can be able to drop questions at some point, and myself and my guests will do our best to answer them to the best of our ability. So here is what the first comment said. It said, he may keep his interpretation of that text to himself. I never knew Jakes was this sexist. I'm happy to know real men, good men, and none of them are afraid when their wife is in the lead. Uh-oh. We all have roles to play to support ourselves and our families. And then it says, riggedy breaks the family. It does not strengthen it. And then here's another comment from another person on social media. They said, it is the truth. However, the men started to fail us. You all hear that? They said that the men started to fail us, especially our black women. They refused to step it up and be a provider, a friend, that kind of guy that supports and always in our corner. They abandoned us. Say, do it yourself. So we did and became hard, and while our men became soft. Wow. Became soft, complacent, and content with us doing it all. God help us, okay? And then now here was another person. A sister said this, Pastor Joyce and Prophet McGahee, okay, I repent. I watched a shorter clip, then I made a wrong conclusion. He is not wrong. So she said that Bishop Jakes wasn't wrong. Then here's another person. They said, we didn't portray or lie to them. They took the government's help in exchange for kicking the black man and father out of the house. So it's their fault, not us. This is a brother that actually said that. And then here is one more, a couple more comments. I seriously don't understand how this didn't offend men. Like, y'all really cool with that, with what Jake said? And then here's another one. This is a bull. Adam had a choice, and if a man stopped planting seeds, a woman would have to be the woman. I'm sorry, it says that, and if a man stopped planting seeds, a woman would have to be the woman he made her become. If he's not mad, God made him. She had no other choice, right? She had no other choice but to take charge, or she would have suffered. T.D. Jakes, why don't you teach a man their position unless you don't know how to teach a man? And then finally, this was the last one. T.D. Jakes can't help himself. He was do good until he started pandering to the women. It's not men's fault, never any accountability for any of their actions, never. Now, let me tell you all this. As far as the whole grammatical portion, I'm just reading the comments as they were written, okay? So as you all can see that there was a lot of controversy around this, okay? And so here's what I want to do. Media Ministry, I want us to play that first clip, okay? Now, there's two clips I'm going to play. I want to play the first clip that I believe that a lot of people got hung up on, okay? Let me go ahead and play that first clip. Here we go.
Order to the culture we're living in now, because we are raising up women to be men. And you are not applauded for your femininity. You are applauded in the contemporary society by how tough, rough, nasty, mean, aggressive, hateful, possessive you are, and you are climbing the corporate ladder, but we're losing our families. I know you can buy your own car. I know you can buy your own house. But until you create a need that I can pour into, I have no place in your life. So stop coming home bragging to me about how much you don't need me and wonder why I shy away.
Okay.
Y'all ain't gonna talk back to me this morning. The conversation has become, let's prove to the men how dispensable they are. And it is born out of pain because we...
Okay, you all, listen, let me actually stop it right there. So Media Ministry, I won't play the other part of the clip. I'm just going to kind of summarize it, right? I'm going to basically just summarize it because I know that the clip is kind of low, but for those who have watched it and those who have saw it, you'll actually realize that in the first part of that clip, Jakes was talking about the position of man, right? He was talking about the position of Adam, and he was talking about how if Adam had poured into Eve, then sin would not have happened. And so the result of this actually brought about the clip that I had just played, right? And so now we have this whole big thing, you all. We have this thing now to where is that there was this big controversy, and they were saying, you know what, that Bishop Jakes needs to step down. He is sexist, so on and so forth. And so they didn't see any truth in it, right? And so here's what I want to start with this particular question, and I'll start with Pastor Joyce first, and then Prophet McGahee, you can jump in as well. You have heard the clip, right? And I know that you have watched the message. Can you share your individual take on this, right? If you can share your individual take.
So, Apostle Ken, I did see the clip, and initially I only had the information from that clip.
Okay.
Then I went back and I watched the whole sermon and got a better understanding as to what was being said.
Okay.
So, as you stated, the sermon was about pouring into men and how some of our men have not been poured into from their fathers.
Right.
See, because the mothers are always going to be the one that pour in and nurture. But if there's an absent father, or if there's a father in the household who is not pouring in, but just part of a fixture, the breadwinner, so to speak, in the household, then that child is still not being poured into.
Okay.
So that's what that whole sermon was about initially.
Okay.
But when the comment came about with we're teaching our women to be men,
Mm-hmm.
my perspective on that is women have watched some of the men not pour into them. So they've taken the lead and they've started to do things on their own. Now, as a woman that's walking with God, my initial take on that was, oh, okay, because I too, before walking with God, had that same attitude. Oh, I can do all things by myself. I don't need a man for this. But biblically standing, we can say that the man is the head of the household and we work together conjointly.
Right.
And he pours into me and I pour into him. And there shouldn't be any recourse or any slashing of his character, or just trying to downplay him or to belittle him because he doesn't have what it is that you think he should have.
Okay.
So that's why, they're saying we're teaching our women to be men because we're stepping up doing things. Well, that's because a lot of times men have not been poured into, so they don't know. Yeah.
And now he said that the world is teaching the women, to be, tough and to, and to be men to a degree. Prophet McGahee, go ahead. What were you about to chime in and say?
So when I saw the clip, I can be honest. I must be honest. When he said that we're busy as women climbing the corporate ladder, and in the meantime, that our families are suffering. And so that did trigger something. And I could see how that could be a trigger for women who have not really been healed, women who have, because the men were not poured into, so they don't know how to pour into us and the family.
Okay.
So because of that residual effect, and now we have to be hardened so that we could survive as
Right.
women without men being in that place. And so we become almost resentful to our brothers, resentful to our fathers, and when he said that the families are suffering because we are succeeding, a woman wants to succeed for the family. So I can see that a statement like that will trigger a woman who really has not been healed or made whole. When he said that the world is teaching the women how to be hard, and we are not celebrated because of our femininity. And that is true. That is true. I remember as a child, as a young girl, I thought my mom was weak because my mom served my dad. I thought she was weak because she submitted. I just, that was just my warped way of thinking, and it wasn't explained to me
Right.
that that wasn't weakness at all. It was actually a virtuous woman because I wasn't raised in the church. My parents were not saved when I was coming up, so I prided myself in being tough or not being broken, and actually that's how I was celebrated. You know,
Right.
I remember a time where I actually got, I got whoopings back in the day. I'm not sure
Right.
what our children are going through now, but I remember my father giving me a whooping because I wouldn't fight back. It wasn't an instinct in me to fight. So that, you know, I wasn't celebrated for being soft. I was celebrated for being hard. And he's absolutely right. And it starts in the home. The world is celebrating women. The more bold we are, the more aggressive we are, the more strong Black women we appear to be, we're celebrated. We're called bosses. But the woman that's meek, and the woman that has temperance, and the woman that's soft spoken, and you know that we don't celebrate that woman too much. And so I do agree with him.
Yeah. And so for whatever reason, there's this divide between men and women.
Hmm.
And we hear about this all the time, and we understand the story of Adam and Eve, and all that good stuff. But in today's society, and with the way that the world has evolved and has changed, I often wonder what has created this divide between men and women. Let me just be honest with you all. When you look at social media and a lot of things as it relate to relationships, you, if it had two sides, right, it'll look something like this. They favor women, and then the men stand right here. This is just Apostle Ken, right? Because every time you look up, it talks about what a man should do, what a man should do, what a man should do, what a man should do. And then you hear, some things as well as what a woman should do. But I don't think that the world realized that men also gets hurt, that men actually get hurt as well. Not that we should be hurting anybody, right? We should try and create a place to where is that we're not hurting one another, but that we're loving one another. But in the land of social media, if you really look closely, there's all these life coaches, and it's talking about women with the 90-day rules, and women to get you a Boaz, not a broke. You all know, right, the rest of that, right? So there is always this thing. And then so the brothers kind of feel to a degree that everybody is against them because they're the ones that's hurting the women, and men are not being hurt. And so there's this divide between men and women. And so I wonder what that divide is and why that is the case. I'll tell you all just flat out, one of the things that I said, I'll just be honest with you. I think that when it comes to this thing called dating, that men and women move too fast, right? I think that that they move too fast, and it's almost like you meet somebody today, and you trying to get married, and you're trying to get married within a matter of like 6 months. You don't know their favorite color. You don't know none of that. All we know is that, hey, you like me, I like you, and we just moving real fast. And so then we try, and so when you look at all that, men and women are not taking the time out to be friends. I've always said this, that men and women, if you are going to get married, get into a relationship with someone, and if you're going to be committed, men and women have to be friends. And so when I look at a lot of these comments, and I see where people are saying, well, hey, the woman had to step up and things like that. Well, I have to ask and pose the question, well, did you do your homework, or did you spend enough time to try and find out whether or not, you would be in a situation to have to step up, right? Because when we get to know people and we understand who they are, that's an opportunity to learn their character and things like that. And so in saying all that, I can't help but wonder, what do you all believe has caused the division between men and women?
I would say this, Apostle. It's been a plan. I'm not trying to sound spiritual, but it is spiritual, and it's been a plan of the enemy to divide um, man and woman. The relationship, the marriage. We are a image of God's relationship with the church, Jesus' relationship with the bride. So when the enemy comes in to divide, a house against itself will not stand. So if he can come in even in the dating portion, then his job is being done. He's on his job. We have to, as women and men, we have to understand that we are not one another's enemy. So at what point, do we realize, even with social media, reality TV, all these different outside elements that's showing me, you, my brother, is my enemy, that's showing you, we, your sisters, we're your enemy. We have to push past that and really figure out, well, what is the Lord saying? One of the things that Bishop Jake said is that there's a divine order to the household that God set in place. And that's what we don't want to recognize. We don't want to recognize a divine order. You, as a man, you have a specific purpose, a purpose that I don't have as a woman. And you, me as a woman, me and Pastor Joyce as women, we have specific purposes that you don't have as a man. And if we stay divided and against one another, then the plan, and not just to procreate as physical children in the earth, but we have to multiply. That means spiritually, and we need one another, the man and the woman. But because we have friends, we have family, we have, like I said, media, social media, the outside influences that will tell me you're my enemy and you're not for me. That's the right. So I'm sorry, I'm talking too much, but that is the plan.
No. You're actually you're absolutely good, Pastor George. What do you say to that?
I mean, I definitely agree with her. It's a matter of opinion, but biblically, I stand on those grounds. And what happens is when you're on one side of the coin and someone else is on the other side, and you have more for the naysayers opposed to the prayers, then you're going to have that big division because, well, how are you going to go about what the Bible says? That was in biblical times, not in today's times. And we're still living in biblical times when we're following God. So it makes a big difference because there's so many against what the principles are opposed to those that are with the principles.
Right. Yeah. And then for our audience who is watching, you guys are certainly welcome to comment. You are certainly welcome to ask any questions that you may want to ask. Now, things are about to get deep, ladies, so I hope you guys pray before you came on here. So there is this thing about independence with women. Oh, God. There's this thing about independence with women. And so it's so much independence until the question becomes, have men lost their place in the home? Or have some women, due to lack of grace, not created a safe place for men in the home? I'm going to drink to that.
Me too.
She said, Pastor Joyce said, me too. Listen. Have men lost their place in the home, or have some women, due to lack of grace, not created a safe place for men in the home? Now, let me tell you all this. This is about to be good. Let me just say this, and then I want you all to actually jump in. I share with women all the time, even on another platform, right, that when it comes to communicating with men, right, that it's almost like an airplane. It has to be safe to get on, safe at the takeoff, and safe at the landing, right? That's what you call grace in communicating with men, because men have an ear for grace, because men like to feel respected. And so one of the things that we've seen is that where women tell a man how independent that she is. And let me tell you all this, from a man's perspective, I'm just going to be honest with you all. It doesn't feel good. I've actually been there before, whereas here it is, I'm working hard and I'm doing my thing. And you hear a woman tell you how independent that she is and, what she don't need, a man for. And so when Bishop said that the world, and this is just what I had observed, when Bishop Jakes said this, right? When Bishop Jakes said this whole thing about that the world is turning women into bosses and things like that. And so a lot of folks took it as if he was saying that a woman shouldn't be successful and that a woman should not go out there and go get it and that the man has to take care of her. And so the way that I took it, I didn't take it to whereas that the woman had to be at home and that the man had to take care of her. That's not what he was saying. What I saw was that he was basically saying that, hey, listen, I know that you got it going on. I know that you are a boss babe, that you're a CEO, and listen, you can buy your own car and you can have your own house. But when all that is still said and done, I still need you at the same time, right? And so basically what he was saying is that, you know, women have to get back to a place to where is that in the midst of you being successful and doing all these great things, that we still, you know, need to see that girl. We still need to see the mother in the house. We still need to see the matriarch of the family. And so instead, what we're seeing, watch this, is that some women, not all women, they're taking their power, they're taking their authority, and then it's almost as if they're converting it into, well, I'm independent, and so now I can beat down the man in my life, you know. And so that's basically what he was saying. What do you all think about that? Rock, paper, scissors. Come on.
Okay, I'll answer for you. So, in listening to you, it brought back some things. I think sometimes some women, they operate in defensive mode all the time. So they become overachievers so that they don't become hurt by the fact of not having those things done for them. So let's say they might have had a gentleman living with them and they expected them to do certain things and those things were not done and they lacked. So they become on the defensive mode, especially if they were hurt in the course of it. So they become overachievers and they start to take care of themselves to the point where they don't have to worry about a man. Not that they don't need one, but they have this wall built up so that they can always have a safeguard of saying, okay, I can do this.
But now, Pastor Joyce, we're talking about the women who verbally come out of their mouth and say, I don't need a man. I can do this and I can do that. But as soon as y'all hear, babe, who's that coming through the door? Come on, y'all. Now, listen now. We're talking about women who verbally come out and say, you know what, I don't need a man. I got this.
Again, some of them still can be operating out of that hurt that they had before. And now they're verbalizing it.
Okay. That's fair.
That's the defense mechanism. When women say when we say we don't need a man,
we actually want it.
We want it. And so we're saying that's to help us position ourselves so we're not disappointed when the man doesn't appear or when the man doesn't show up. So that's a protective mode. And respect is not instinct. Women, we have to be taught how to respect men. And especially those of us who've been hurt and disappointed by men. It's like we have to retrain our thinking. We have to be taught how to respect no matter their financial position, no matter their state. Simply because God called them man. Right. We as women need to be taught their role and how to respect them.
Yes. Well, let me tell y'all this from a man's perspective. Men have to feel respected. They absolutely have to feel needed. That doesn't mean that a woman can't have her independence, or that she can't have nice things, or even that black card, right? The black card, right? But men have to feel respected. Even if it's as simple as, you know, a woman coming home and saying, babe, you know what? I had a real long day at work. I just need you to hold me. Men, that's what men, you know, those are the things that men gravitate towards. But, and this is going to be a little heavy, what I'm getting ready to say. But women have gotten so independent to the point, or some, not all, some women. I want to make sure that I get quoted on some because I don't want folks saying, oh, Apostle, he's a sexist. You all know me. And you know my character, and that's not me. But I want to just try and put out here what's actually happening. And so a lot of us don't want to deal with it. But the world has made these intimate electronic gadgets. Here we go. Y'all don't want to talk about it. These electronic intimate gadgets. Yep, Apostle Ken gonna say it. Y'all know me. And some women even see independence in that. Y'all been okay. So look, y'all don't want to talk about it. They see independence in that, you know. And so this is the part that Jakes was talking about. You know, that after you go out there and you know what, There's a song that was made by India Ari and David Banner, right? She said, she says, I'm a boss in my world. She said, but when I connect with him, he makes me feel like his girl, right? And so there's a level of submission that men look for. I'm not trying to take you out of corporate America. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to take you away from doing great things and writing books and being successful. But then there's a level of submission that needs to take place as it relates to the household, because we are better together. And this is what Jakes was saying, that when men have no place, then we like, okay, well, what am I here for? If you can do everything by yourself, and if you're so independent, and listen, you got it, and you can clean out these gutters, you can do all this, what do you need me for? And this is basically what he was saying, but we had so many that got offended and said, oh, you know what, Jakes need to step down. You know, he's sexist and all this good stuff. When at the end of the day, you know, women need men and men need women.
Yeah, Bishop Jakes doesn't need to sit down.
No.
But along with standing up with him, where are our older women? Where are our wise women? Because that's the Bible, you know.
Right.
The older women teach the young women how to be wives and how to love their husbands and their children and how to keep their homes. Like, where's Big Mama? Where are the mamas? You know,
right.
That's going to pour into us, because that's his whole message was God pouring into men and men pouring into his family. So God pours into the women, and where are the wise women, the virtuous women who are supposed to pour into our young women? The women like me and Pastor Joyce, we need to make sure that we are pouring into our young sisters so that they know how to be submissive and how to respect and love their husbands and keep their home.
And you know what? And I want to get to a couple of the actual comments. Meet the minister, we can go through and just pull a few of the comments. But the one thing that I want to tell women, and this is why I say that men and women have to get to know each other in all seasons, right? Mm-hmm. We have to get to know each other in all seasons. Sisters, I want to tell you all something just from the heart of a man, if you will hear me. A lot of times you all expect something out of us that we didn't have a father around to show us. You all hear that? You know, so you're expecting us to be ahead of the house, and we didn't see ahead of the house. We're basically just trying to choose, and we're trying to make decisions based on what we saw, you know. And so a lot of times we struggle, but in the midst of our struggle, because we struggle so much with it, by that time, because you say you don't need us and we're and you're so independent, by that time things have already dissolved. And so this is why I say men and women have to get to know one another, and you have to see each other in all seasons. And especially for those who are single, who are watching us live, and for those who are hearing us, listen, we're so busy asking about folks' favorite color, where you went to school at. You need to ask folks about the characteristics of mom and dad. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if he didn't see an example of a man, he will struggle to be one. Yeah. I struggle to be one. Listen, somebody had to sit me down, and I'll never mention his name. Well, you know, God rest his soul. But he had to sit me down and get in my face. And he kept it, as they say, 100, or kept it real with me. And I cried like a baby. I'm going to tell you this. That's called revelation conversation. That is called revelation conversation. And so a lot of times we put the pressure on the husbands or the fathers of the children. And if you really dig deep and you get to the root of that tree, you'll find out that there wasn't a man there. Come on, Pastor Pam, that's right. We are the product of our parents. And if somebody, you know, don't step in, right, and intercede and act, right, as a father, as a mentor, right, to actually help raise us up and develop us in that area, then we'll mess around and we'll get married with that baggage. We'll get into a relationship with that baggage.
So, yeah, I agree. So then how's the generational curse broken? You know, if we didn't grow up with it, who stands up and redirect the direction of the household? If he didn't see it, and if she didn't see it, and now they're together, who stands up to change the direction of that household so that generational curse is broken? Like, I would go to say that responsibility is on our ministry leaders, our church.
Yes, I was about
you know, because that's how I was taught. You know, when I had children out of wedlock, and so the first thing I did was go to child support court. And then if a check didn't come, you can't see them this weekend because I used the children to hurt them. And it took my pastor at that time, who was my pastor at that time.
Right.
That's when, like you said, your pastor got in your leader got in your face and kept it 100. So did mine. And that's when my mindset began to be transformed as to how to respect men and how to heal from the disappointment that I had endured. Like,
Right.
I think we need to take our responsibility really serious, because it's true, Apostle. They're not seeing it. Our young men, they're not seeing it. Our young women, they're not seeing it. And they're tough because they saw their moms being tough.
Right. Okay. Pastor Joyce, you?
No, I totally agree. I mean, we have to be the example.
Yeah.
If we didn't have it in our households and we learned, therefore, now it's time for us to pass it on to that generation that's coming up, so that they too can pass it on to the next generation, or else that curse is going to continue to be there. So we have to make the change ourselves.
Yeah. And then I think it's too about men and women being willing to really, hear one another. Right. It's about us, being able to hear one another. Lloyd Johnson said this: let the men and women be great and outstanding together, right? Basically saying that we are better together, right?
Yes.
And then we also saw another comment here. I was actually trying to find it, right? Good men need to be treated. Good men need to be treated as a king. That is so true, Pastor Pam. Good men need to be treated as a king. And so, as Prophet McGahee was actually speaking, and she was talking about this, and she was saying, well, how do we remedy this, right? And how do we get in front of this? One, I think, is definitely by just recognizing, that as men and women, that neither one of us, I don't care how many degrees we have, how smart we are, I don't care how decorated we are, whether it be in corporate America, ministry, or whatever it is, that we are constantly still learning, right? And that, again, that teamwork definitely does make the dream work. And so it's not me against you, or it's you against me, but it's us, against the world and what it is that, we're trying to build, but again, men have to have a place, sometimes I watch my son, right? I watch my son, and like, if you ask him to do something, it's like he's almost, and for those who know Brother Camden, you'll notice that when you ask him to do something, he goes like right to it, because he's trying to like get to it. And he's trying to, get it done. That's how men are. Believe it or not, we have to feel as if that we can fulfill a need, because the moment that we feel that we can't fulfill a need, then we're like, okay, well then why am I here? And I think that what happens here, watch this, is that some believe that a man fulfilling a need is a man paying all the bills and buying everything, and it's more than that. Sometimes the need is just, good conversation. Sometimes the need can be, hey, you know what, let us have coffee together, or let us work through an issue together, or what, I'm trying to start this business venture. What do you think? Mm-hmm. And you know what, you may have all the answers, right? But I just think it's every now and then just taking that moment to pause and just ask the man in your life, hey, I think I kind of got it, but I want to run it by you just to kind of see what you're thinking, right? Because that's the need, that's the need, because again, we hear all the time where, men and women get along good laying down, but we have to be able to get along standing up, right? We need to meet the needs. We need to meet the needs standing up, And so that's basically what Jakes was basically trying to say, is that when you take the man out the home, because there's been so many, how I'm so independent, arrow stone at the man and saying that we don't need him. Now you have the man out the home. And so now the home, because the protector, the provider, the one who makes provision, has been taken out the home. Now the home becomes susceptible to any and everything that can possibly be thrown at it. I mean, if you all know, there was a story, it had to be some months ago. There was a story on the news some months ago, and it was about a sister who had broken up with the boyfriend. And so she met this new guy, right? Not a whole lot of history with the new guy. But the new guy came in, he did harm to the kids, right? But the man was taken out the home. The history was taken out the home, you know? And so that's really what he was doing. Again, this ain't about, this ain't about defending Bishop Jakes or anything like that. But I think it's just about men and women being able to communicate and talk and understand one another. And I think that the messaging that we get here, is that, yes, sisters, we want you to be independent and all that, but we still need you, and we still need a place in your life.
I'm not sure who made the comment, but there was a comment that said, "Let the men and women be great together."
Yep, I think that was a Lloyd, someone with the name. Yeah, okay.
Yes, and so I totally agree with that. Yes. Women need to understand that if we allow our brothers to be great, that doesn't take away from our greatness.
Right.
And if we allow ourselves to be submissive, that doesn't take away from our greatness. If we, if we allow ourselves to be led by him, that doesn't take away from our greatness. It doesn't take away from our being able to exist without him. God will grace us to do things without a man. I say that God graced me to be a single mom, but it was not his intention for me to be a single mom. It was his intention that my children grow up with both roles in the home so that they can receive that balance of man and woman, and they can see father and mom operating in their divine roles in the household. But me allowing my brothers to walk in their greatness doesn't take away from my greatness. We really can grow great together.
Okay.
And just piggybacking on that, Apostle Ken, and even if they're not where you want them to be, tell them that they're great.
Yep.
Tell them that they're great.
Yes. Absolutely.
Build them up where they're weak.
Yeah.
And just let them know they're great even where they're weak.
Yes.
And that helps them so much. Sometimes we can say, the malicious things to them that can tear them down. We always talk about our feelings being hurt, but as Apostle Ken said, men have feelings too.
Yes.
And even where they're weak, we can build them up and make them think they're giants when they're not giants, but you make them feel as though they're giants.
Absolutely.
We too have to build them up even when they're down. We have to be to pick them up for them.
Absolutely, because what happens is that you're basically, planting seeds into him. I say this all the time, that a good woman can see the value in a man, and as long as she sees active traction and see him in motion and things like that, she'll pack patience, right? While God do what he needs to do with him as he goes where it is that he needs to go. Okay. Any final thoughts before we get ready to conclude? Pastor Joyce, Prophet McGay, any final thoughts at all?
I can just really piggyback on what Pastor Joyce just said. I will encourage my sisters to respect and honor men, whether you see they deserve it or not. Okay. In your own interpretation of what a man deserves and what a good man or a real man is, respect him anyway, honor him anyway, until he becomes what you desire to see him be. Respect and honor him anyway.
Awesome.
And I just like to say, we need to put our fantasies back in the boxes. We're still playing with paper dolls and Barbie. We're drawing a conclusion of a fantasy man.
Right.
And when that fantasy man doesn't produce in a way in which we think they should, then we're tearing them down opposed to building them up because they don't meet the criteria that we've put in our heads.
Yeah. Okay. Look, good stuff, you all. Hey, listen, first of all, I want to, once again, thank my two very special guests, Pastor Joyce and Prophet McGahee. I want to, thank, both of them for coming on and being a part of Chopping Up with Apostle Ken. As you all know, no topic is off limit. Men and women, we are so much better together. Listen, I need you. You need me. It's not about you against me. It's not about me against you, but it is about us against the world. And so once again, I want to thank my two special guests for coming on.
Thank you.
Our audience for coming on. Listen, we're praying for you. You continue to pray for us, and we're going to watch God change things. Be looking out for our next episode. This will be uploaded to Spotify as well. Thank you all again. God bless you, Pastor Joyce. God bless you, Prophet McGahee. Until we meet again, we are out. God bless.
God bless.